So let's look at X4 Foundations. This obviously is the fourth X game. It's not the fourth game in the series, because there have been some interesting little developments. There were 3 X3 games, and then there was X Rebirth, which, while a game in the X universe, is not really an X game. It doesn't have a number in its title for a reason. It was a departure from the standard gameplay, trying in a different direction and telling a further story in the X universe without using the traditional X gameplay. And a lot of people didn't like it as a result. Plus, it was also bugged to hell when it came out, and a lot of people didn't like it for that as well. I've not properly played it myself, but it does look like once they fixed all the bugs, it's quite a good game if you're not expecting it to be X4. They did make it very clear when Rebirth was out that it wasn't X4 and that X4 would be coming, and lo, here it is. This one is a proper X game. You can fly every ship. Can you play as split? I don't know, but I suspect you may be able to. There are 3 game starts available from the beginning. If I click New Game, we can check these out.
Even after everything that has struck over the last few decades, the Terran conflict, the Xenon, and the jump gates shut down, the Argon Federation has established itself as a key power in this new jump gate network. And even its most distant colony, Black Hole Sun, is a hub of trade and community. Opportunities are aplenty for all. Every day, scores of young pilots set out from the system for the first time, on their way to find adventure among the stars.
So that's the first game start, the Young Gun. That starts in Black Hole Sun with an Elite Vanguard and 10,000 credits. The Elite Vanguard was not what I expected it to be at all, because the Elite in X3 was, I think, an M4 class ship, which was a bit of a beefy fighter type. It's really small in this game. It's very much a small fighter. They don't appear to be using the M classes that were used in the previous X games to classify ships, so that's a little bit of a departure. The second game start in this version, interestingly, is actually Paranid.
We live in dark times. For centuries, the Paranid lived in peace. Strife between us was a relic of the past. So dependent are we on the Pontifex that when the jump gates shut down and the Pontifex could not contact us, chaos ensued. Life fell into ruin. We searched desperately for guidance, some even going as far to birth new leaders, each with their own perspective, each with their own ambitions. When the jump gates realigned, it could only end in conflict. Each Pontifex believed they were in the right, each unwilling to back down. Civil war was simply a matter of time.
So, as far as I know, this is the first time, certainly the first time we've had the Paranid as a starting player. A starting start is a really clumsy way of saying it, but traditionally in the X games, as you play, you unlock further game starts, so you can come in at on a later game with a different beginning. I expect X4 to be the same. There are 3 new game starts here at the moment, but I expect that as you achieve stuff in those games, it will unlock different game starts that give you a slightly different... Ultimately, it's exactly the same game, but you get a different beginning and a different level of set of challenges at the start of the game. So in this case, being a Paranid would certainly be a challenge, because if it's anything like the previous iterations of the X universe, pretty much nobody likes the Paranid. They're a group of religiously obsessive xenophobes, to all intents and purposes, and they've got everybody's backs up. So you can start as a Paranid with a few thousand credits and a Perseus, which again I'm assuming is going to be a small fighter class ship. This version starts with a targeting computer extension and basic scanner in equipment, and lots of challenges, I'd imagine. It also starts in Pontifex Claim. Now, what we don't have which was very popular, especially in the sandbox modes in X3 Albion Prelude, is the Argon Trader start that we used to have there, where you started with a Discoverer Explorer class ship and also a trade vessel, a Mercury. And straight away you could jump into trading. You could either sell one of the two ships and get loads of money, or you could fly one and trade with the other one, or trade one and explore with the other one. We don't have that game start. Maybe we'll get it later, I don't know, but we don't have it at the moment. The third one is an Explorer start, however.
The jump gate shutdown is now defined as the single most important event in the history of the network, a disaster of cataclysmic proportion that changed everything, redefining our very way of life. Despite all of the odds, however, we have come through the other side, and along the way have found more to research and explore than ever before. That is the area in which we pride ourselves, the Alliance of the Word. Founded on the idea that those disconnected from the Jumpgate network could be saved, we strive to find out more for the good of all of us.
So, one thing I will say, first impressions on this game, the voice acting is terrible. To be honest, I think if Egosoft had just dropped into the Fog Online Discord server, they could have got better voice acting for early access to the game, if nothing else. Out of the people who are on that server could almost certainly have done a better job than has been done in the game. But it's not a game about voice acting, so we won't worry too much about that. My other game is this Untested Explorer start. That starts with the new version of the Argon Discoverer. Disco is a classic ship. It was your start ship in X2. Some of the game starts in all three of the X3s. And here it is on the third game start for X4. And there it is, flying into land in the background of the start menu now. That is the new look Argon Explorer. The in-game lore does say that this is a different ship to the previous Argon Explorers. It says that the Argon Explorer wasn't really updated for a long time until after the jump gates collapsed. And then this is a new design of ship with the same name. So can't complain it doesn't look like a disco because it's the new disco, basically. I think what I'll do this time out is I'm going to go back to the Young Gun start, and I'm going to start our game with that to see where it takes us. So now we're going to sit on some loading screens for a bit after this.
Day one. I'm excited to get underway with this new ship. I'm not entirely sure what I'll do yet. Trading, exploring. Am I brave enough to face combat? Whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be exciting. Here goes nothing.
This little opening section is a bit meh, but we only have to see it once at the beginning of the game and then never touch it again, so I can live with it. And it wouldn't be an X game without space-related quotes on the loading screens. No, Talladega, I have not read the books. I really want to go back and read the books. I've got the new one because I bought the collector's edition of this, and that comes with the ebook of Nepelios, I believe it's called, the new book, which I will certainly read. But I'd like to go back and get hold of the previous ones and read the earlier books as well. I used to know more about the X universe than I do now. I've kind of forgotten a lot of the lore because for years I've only played in Sandbox, where the lore is less important. It's there in the background, and it's interesting, but it's not really very in your face. I love the storyline from X3 Reunion, the first of the X3 games. I'm partway through, really quite near the beginning of a storyline playthrough of that on streams, and although I was doing that in advance of X4 coming out, various delays mean that I haven't got very far with it, and I am going to continue. I'm going to go back to it, even though X4 is out now, because I just love that. It's a really good story. So here we are. We are on a station. I've got my controls set up, fortunately. This is something that does take a bit of doing. Although it is compatible with a HOTAS, it's not easily compatible with a HOTAS. If we take a quick look at the settings menu, we've got nowhere near as many controls as something like, say, Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is a flight sim in space and has flight sim level detail on the controls and the methods of flying. This is far more arcadey in terms of its flying. It's much easier to fly the ships, far fewer controls. You don't need to worry about things like landing gear or deploying weapons, all that kind of nonsense. But we do need to go through and set up the controls. So here we've got analog and digital versions of the steering. The digital versions are by default assigned to the keyboard. The analog ones were blank when I loaded up. So I've put in, I've set it to what I wanted from my HOTAS. Basically, it flies the same way as Elite Dangerous now. It's roll and pitch rather than using yaw as the primary means of steering, whereas the previous games, if you selected joystick by default, left and right on the joystick would yaw rather than roll. And that, obviously, for people who play things like Elite Dangerous know that that's not the way those games work. Any game that uses an aerodynamic flight model is used to rolling and pitching. So that's how I've set this to fly, because that's what I'm used to now. We've got some interesting options down here. So we have a toggle flight assist option. Now, I haven't actually put that onto my HOTAS yet. I haven't figured out a suitable button for it. We don't have the option to make that press and hold, unlike Elite Dangerous. I always use Flight Assist off in Elite Dangerous in press and hold mode. So I don't know how much I'm going to use it as a toggle, so I haven't set it up yet, but I probably will. We have mouse steering. That was always a big thing with the X games, that you didn't need a joystick or a HOTAS to play them. You could just use the mouse. I know Druttercup plays X3, or played X3 on mouse. I don't know if her more recent X3 games have swapped to the HOTAS since she's got it. But it doesn't properly support a HOTAS, so it's entirely possible she hasn't. This game supports the HOTAS. I can use my throttle, which is an important thing. Here we go. Throttle, yes. We're throttling. Hooray. And there's a button to invert the throttle, which obviously lets you go backwards. Very important, being able to go backwards at times, especially when you're landing. There are buttons for things like matching target speed, stop engines, boost. Boost is interesting. Boost is the same as the version that we had in Rebirth, which gives you a massive boost of speed. Maximum speed on a disco is 244 meters per second. You can boost up to about 1400, but it drains your shield energy while you're boosting. So the longer you boost, the less shield energy you've got. Obviously, boosting in combat is therefore very dangerous. Primary and secondary weapons. Secondary weapons are effectively missiles. There are weapon groups which you can set the different weapons in for cycling through. Again, this is familiar from X3, and the idea of weapon groups will be familiar to people who play Elite Dangerous and are coming to these games new. Next, ammunition, I'm assuming applies to the secondary weapons, where you could have multiple missile types. The primary weapons should all be ammunition-free. There should be lasers and things. Let me get to the modes, which we will go through in a moment when we hit space. We have a travel mode, a scan mode, a long-range scan mode, and a CETA mode. CETA, again, will be familiar to people who know the earlier games. That's a Singularity Engine Time Acceleration. Effectively speeds up time so that you can get through the boring parts of flying through space quickly. Don't think I've got a CETA mounted on my ship. certainly haven't used it if I do, because now the travel mode makes that rather unnecessary. But it's still there. We'll have to see. Maybe it will become more important later. Then we get on to things like a quick action menu, the map, missions. Hotkeys for things like property owned and player information, really unnecessary. You can go through the menu system. You're never going to be urgently needing your player information right now without time to go through a menu, because that just doesn't make sense. You don't desperately need to know how many credits you've got in the middle of a battle, for example. So never really understood why we had hotkeys for those. Likewise, current ship info. Middle of a battle, needing to know what your current ship is, not going to happen. So we've got interaction menu. That's an important button. Button F on the keyboard, or 19 on my joystick. I can't remember which button 19 is on my joystick. I really need to have a picture stuck on the wall that shows me what my buttons are on this HOTAS. Target object in map, that's quite useful, but it doesn't need a joystick button. I mapped one at the beginning, but I use the maps using mouse and keyboard anyway, so it really was unnecessary. That is when you're in the map, you can target something directly from within the map. Most of the rest of this is fairly self-explanatory when you're going through it. There's things like the camera controls. Yeah, stick numbers on the buttons. That's not a bad idea, Nightbite. It's not a bad idea at all. Target closest enemy, target object next and previous target, so on and so forth. These are all fairly self-explanatory. You'll notice that I've got target closest enemy mapped to a button on my keyboard, on my HOTAS even, because that is important. I've also got toggle autopilot. Originally I did not have that mapped to the HOTAS. I had the CETA mode mapped. But since I'm never using the CETA mode anyway, I've mapped toggle autopilot. So what that means is that my POV buttons, which I've got one on the throttle and one on the joystick, and they are identical. They do the same thing. Give me the 3 ship modes and the autopilot on that. Nice and easy to use when I'm flying around. So obviously, your mileage may vary, but that's how I've got mine set up, and it seems to work quite nicely for it. Far less controls, as I say, than Elite Dangerous. So, for running around on platforms, I've got it mapped to the joystick on my HOTAS. I can move around with the HOTAS, but I used to play a lot of first-person shooters, so I'm quite used to the idea of WASD and a mouse for moving around. So I automatically just swap to mouse and keyboard when I'm running around first person outside the ship or even inside the ship. So this is the ship. This is the Elite Vanguard, much smaller than I was expecting something called an Elite to be. Got that one big gun on the front there, but my Disco, and the Disco used to be like the smallest ship the Argon did, has 2 guns like that, one either side. So this really is tiny. It's got a logo graphic on the side there. We'll get to that in a moment because we're going to set up the player information in a second. That's just the default graphic. There's a number to choose from, and you can import your own. On the Disco, that appears once on the ship. On the Elite, it appears on the fuselage and the wing. So if you want to be sure you're showing off your funky graphic that you've imported, use this game style. Big ass engine at the back there. Looks like it does what it's supposed to do. There we go. We've got a serial number on the wing. That's quite nice because that is, as with Elite Dangerous, that is the ship's actual serial number, but you can't change the serial number in this as far as I'm aware. You can change the ship name. I don't think you can change the serial number. Right, it's telling me it wants me to play the tutorial, but I'm not going to play the tutorial. So here we are inside the ship. At the back here we have got a transporter. That lets me do things like leave the ship. In bigger ships, I can move to other parts of the ship. But in these smaller ships, it's mainly just for leaving the ship. And there we have the pilot seat. I can use the pilot seat to take over control of the ship. Before we do that, however, let's just go into the menu and look at player information, because we haven't set this up yet. So first thing we can see is that it's showing us our ship on the right hand side there, spinning around so that we can see any changes that we make to the default ship skin. straight away there, and we can see what we're currently flying. That's nice. And we've got this selection of logos. Now, I've already imported the fishy custom logo, so naturally my ship is going to have the fishy logo on the side of it, because why wouldn't it? That's terribly easy. Inside your X folder, when you've started a game, it will generate a folder in Egosoft X4 Foundations in your Documents folder. This is not where Steam installs it or where GOG installs it. This is where it's keeping the save games and so forth in your Documents directory. When you start a game, it will generate a folder that is a string of numbers. This may be connected to your Steam ID, I'm not sure. But wherever the save folder is, anyway, which is inside that in my case, you can create a logos folder and bung graphics into that folder, and those will be available as custom logos in the game. There are obviously some restrictions as to what you can do. I think they have to be square. Various limitations on what will and won't actually work in there, but I just bunged in the small version of my fishy graphic into that as a test, and it worked absolutely fine, and I now have fishy on the side of my ship, and I have no desire to change it. Up here, I can change my character's name. By default, we are Val Selton in this version, but that's not what we're going to be called in this game, because we are indeed fishy, so we have to be called fishy in some way, shape or form. So we'll just go with fishy, as distinct from my Explorer game, which is fishy to hint. We've got the logo set up. The default ship skin, we have got these themes. There's the default theme, 01. Theme 2 gives us some red striping. Not very visible on the Elite. It's more visible on the Disco, but it's a bit of red there. And we got it in green on theme 3. Theme 4 is a sort of yellowy. We've gone with the red on the other game, so let's go with green on this one. So our default skin will have that green there. Then under that, it tells us things like our net worth, which is currently 104,920 credits. That's not bad, given we only have 10,000 credits in the bank. The rest of that is 92,870 credits worth of ship. We don't own any stations, it tells us. We do have 3 inventory items. Pretty certain that 2 of those are going to be spacesuit upgrades, but see if we can find out. Hello. What is Foundation X? That is a very good question. Amount 50 base point. We have 50 of it, whatever it is. I'll have to try and figure that out at a later date. Nothing in our venture inventory, whatever that is. I'm assuming it has to do with plots. I'm thinking venture inventory is probably plot-related items. It's quest items, I think. But I'm guessing, because I don't really know yet. So, spacesuit upgrades. We have got a repair laser and a spacesuit scanner. I had a feeling we would have. That's also what we had in the Explorer start. So with the repair laser, we can drop out of our ship and we can zap it to repair it when it's taken damage, rather than pay to repair it at a station. That's a very useful thing. Spacesuit scanner presumably just means that we can actually see anything in our spacesuit, detect things. Modifications, we don't have any modifications at the moment. We will be able to pick up blueprints for ship parts and I think modifications as the game goes on. I apologise for the fact that the X4 logo is obscuring some of what I'm looking at here. But it's not massively important that you be able to see it anyway. I'm just, you know it's there. That's the important thing, isn't it? And then we've got a logbook, which lets us check up on things like missions and so forth. We have got account management, which lets you deal with station accounts. Stations have their own money, so the account management thing lets us sort that out. Factions and relations. These are the factions that I'm currently aware of. The Antigone Republic, the Argon Federation, the God Realm of the Paranid, the Hatikvar Free League, the Holy Order of the Pontifex, and the Taladi Company, and the Xenon. Xenon being bad guys. That's the AI villains who have been in there right since the first X game. So with the Xenon, I'm at -30 because they hate everybody who isn't a computer. So Lazarus will get along famously with them, but I'm going to be killed. Everyone else at +0 because I've not done anything yet to gain reputation one way or another. I do have a few licenses with some of these things like general use ship license. I'm allowed, the Antigone Republic allow me to fly a ship. It's nice of them. All of these people allow me to fly a ship except the Xenon, who don't think that I should be allowed to breathe, let alone fly a ship. And you've got, different license, slightly different licenses in different areas. They may phrase things differently, but for the most part we're looking at a general use equipment license, a general use ship license, and a basic module license. Other licenses can be purchased when you have enough money and when the faction likes you enough. So that's the player information. Let's go back to the dock interactions where we started from. This is the quick menu, basically. We brought this up by pressing enter, but you can obviously map a joystick button for it. And the only thing that's available to me here at the moment is go to ship. Well, I'm already on my ship, so that would be silly. I'm not going to fast travel to the ship. I'm already on it.
Requesting permission to dock.
So instead, I will press delete to close that menu. And probably time we did something with the ship. Let's use it. Right. And look, we get a menu again the moment we're in the ship, and now we've got more options. We've got get up, i.e. get out of the chair, go back to walking around, do something else. We can trade with the station from here. If we look at the trade, we will see that they have got nothing for sale, or nothing that they're willing to sell me anyway. Nothing in the sell offer column at all. Plenty in the buy offer column. So somebody wants to buy 169 advanced composites, or did I see down there 10,492 missile components. So they really want to buy missile components. Lots and lots of missile components. 18,000 smart chips. These are things that if I had them, I could sell at the prices given here. So those advanced composites, 888.69 credits a go. If there were any sell offers here, I could use left and right to transfer items to the ship and then confirm to make my purchase. Likewise, if I had something to sell them, I could do the same thing and then confirm to actually sell the thing. That's the basics of trading. Find something people want, sell it to them, preferably at a good price. One thing it does do, if you mouse over these prices, it tells you how far from the average price they are. So these drone components, which are in a quite dark green, that's because they're 8% off above the average price. Grey means they're pretty close to the average price. 0% there. These ones 14% above average price. This is all good. The greener it is, the better it is. The redder it is, the worse it is, if you're looking at a glance. But you can mouse over to get the exact numbers. Can't really buy and sell here at the moment. We have an upgrade button, but we'll look at that later on. And we can look at our ship information, which won't tell us a great deal. This has brought up the map, you'll notice. A lot of things are overlaid onto the map, so when you look at them, they bring the map up. Missions do the same thing. We'll talk about the map in a minute as well. So here we know that this is my Elite Vanguard. We can change its name from here, because Elite Vanguard, while that's what it is a very boring name for a ship. So, whoops. Let's just click into there, and what do we want to call our ship? Well, it's called an Elite Vanguard, so let's just call it the Brabant, shall we? That seems to make sense to me. Owner is Fishy, we know that because it's ours. Tells us where it is. All of this information some of this information may seem a bit pointless. Why do I want to know where my ship is docked? I'm standing in it, sitting in it. Well, of course, you can own a fleet in this game. The X games are sort of promoted with the phrase trade, fight, build, think. And that is pretty much right. In the early stages of the game, trading is the safe way to make money. You can't make a lot in these starting ships, but at least you don't die. When you can afford a better ship or better upgrades to the one that you've got, then maybe you can risk fighting and making some money that way and making a reputation for yourself. Along your path you will build. The obvious thing this refers to is building your own station factories. But it also can refer to building a fleet of ships. You can own multiple ships, and you can issue instructions to those ships, purchase crew to go on those ships, and have them flying around the galaxy doing things on your behalf while you are about your own business in whatever ship you're flying. And think, because yeah, you do need to. You need to think about what you're doing. Think about what you want to buy and sell, who you want to piss off or work with, faction-wise, who you do want to fight and who you don't want to fight, where you want to build your stations and which stations you want to build. It's as much a strategy game as it is a flight sim. In fact, more so, because it's not a great flight sim, to be honest. It's a bit arcadey to be a good flight sim. So this same information might be for a different ship that's on in a different sector, far away from you. It tells us its hull, currently at 100%, also its shield strength, cruising speed, burst and sustained weapon output. Not 100% sure on that, other than obviously the higher the better. Radar range of 40 kilometers. Crew skill has no crew at the moment, there's only me. It's got a crew capacity of, let's see, what is the crew capacity of this? Personnel, crew 0 of 3. So we can have 3 crew on this ship. Interestingly, you can take passenger missions without needing any special passenger carrying capability on your ships, provided you have empty crew slots. I did a passenger mission in my other game yesterday, and indeed he registered as crew while I was transporting him. So I think that's kind of cool. That means I can transport a couple of people who will use up crew slots because I don't have any crew on board at the moment. That's nice to know. Ammunition, countermeasures, deployables, etc. All this nice stuff that means nothing to us in the minute because we're at the start of the game, but will be important to us later, I'm sure. So let's close the map, take off and fly around a bit. So we select undock. I'm now doing this with my HOTAS rather than my mouse because I have it set. So when I'm in the menus, the POV switch moves me around, and then I can just pull the trigger and we will take off. This time, unlike the first time out, I have actually got my throttle zeroed, so I did not immediately fly into the wall. When I initially set this up on my first game, I kind of didn't realise I was going to need to invert the throttle. So instead of being zeroed, my throttle was at maximum when I took off and I went straight into a wall. Not the best plan. So as you can see, there are ships coming in and out all the time, doing stuff. They look lovely. I mean, it doesn't look like Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous, let's be honest, is like a benchmark for how gorgeous a space game can look. But it does look pretty damn good. These are on slightly tweaked custom graphics. If I put it on medium, it switches on something that kills my stream pretty much. I don't know what. These, instead, I just tweaked up a bit from the low settings. This isn't low, this is up a little bit from low. And ooh, my frame rate just took a horrible hit there as I was going through the force shield, but it's back up again now. I'm getting 29.9 frames per second at the moment on these settings, and I don't have the beefiest computer in the world, as anybody who's familiar with Laz will know. So now that we're out, let's turn around and look at the station we have just launched from. There it is. That is pretty damned awesome, if you ask me. Clicking on it, we can see that it is an Argon equipment dock. The reason I clicked on that to select it is because if I'd used the sort of target under reticle button that I've got set up, it would probably have targeted one of the individual modules instead of the station overall. Now, that is showing me that I have got 8% information unlocked. That's interesting. I didn't realise I was in scan mode. I wasn't. I don't know why. I seem to have unlocked that just by being there. So, let's talk about ship modes. There are essentially 4, not counting Ceeta. These are normal mode, i.e. no mode has been activated, we're just in a ship. That's what we're in at the moment. We can fly around and do stuff, and in fact, just to prove that this game really does do what this game kind of claims to do, there we go. We are in space, in our ship, and we can get up and walk around the cockpit. Now, this is a tiny little ship with just a cockpit. Unlike... I keep talking about Elite Dangerous because it's the obvious thing to compare the game to in this day and age. Unlike Elite Dangerous, in this ship you can get the big ships. In this game you can get the big ships. You can own your own fleet carrier type vessels. In which case there's a bit of a bigger bridge than this, and probably more places to go as well. But it's going to be a while before I get my hands on one of those to know for certain. So, the next important mode is scan mode. Scan mode pretty much does what it says on the tin. While you're in scan mode, you are scanning shit that's close to you. There's a long-range scan mode as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. But for the moment, scan mode. If I fly around this station now in scan mode, as I fly close to these modules, my ship will scan them and I will gain further information about the station. Don't know quite what use that information is going to be for me at a later date, apart from the fact that it does seem to unlock locations that you can go to using the transporters on board the station. They're flashing there as I scan them. That's not a part of the game graphics as such. That's a part of your ship's graphics. That's the HUD. Now, the HUD obviously is part of the game graphics, but those aren't. Those exist in world, for want of a better term. Those flashes are being overlaid onto your HUD because they're information being relayed to you by your ship. The other thing that happens is, unfortunately, I'm hearing an awful lot of engine noise that's kind of getting in the way. The other thing that happens when you are in scan mode is you may detect what sounds like radio static, because there will be signals. Possibly. There's not going to be one on this station now, just to annoy me. Look at that. That's one of the bigger ships. It's just... That is a mineral miner. Argon... No. I seem to have locked onto its shield generator. That's better. That's a magnetar. That is a bigger ship than me by quite a long way. And off it's heading into the night to do its thing. That one over there, that's a crane, a gas miner. Again, rather bigger than me. So, back to flying around the station and talking about signals. If I can find a signal, I can approach it and it will unlock something, essentially. It might be that somebody is attempting to communicate and I will then have a conversation. It might be that there is a data leak, essentially, and that by scanning the signal I can find... I found blueprints for a station module on my other game. So stuff like that, because to build a station you have to have the blueprint as well as the money in this version, which is kind of cool. So one way to get these blueprints is to look for signals on stations and scan them. Something over there is registered as an enemy. That's probably a criminal vessel. Now that's quite useful. That is mass transporter B. Yes, that's a mass transporter. It's criminal. Criminals are apparently enemies. They don't like me. It should... I don't know what will happen if I destroy that, given that it is a criminal. I don't know if that will get me into trouble. I hope not, because it is a criminal. But if it gets destroyed, it might leave behind crates, which we can fly over to pick up and gain free stuff. So at some point I'm going to have to find out, take the risk and find out whether or not I can safely shoot criminals. I think I probably can safely shoot criminals, but without a police license I'm not 100% sure. In the previous games the police license just meant that you got a bounty for shooting them. Not 100% sure whether that is still the case, or whether you need the police license to be allowed to shoot them at all. My frame rate took a drop there, and I don't know why. I hope the stream is looking okay. One of the things that this game will inevitably do is, as you get deeper into the game and there is more and more stuff to handle, it may slow down. X3 certainly did, but that's because X3, while it was an awesome galaxy simulator, only really worried too closely about your stuff. The economy is more dynamic and the NPC actions are more pervasive in this one, apparently. So it may be that the strain on the system will remain fairly solid from the start of the game. We don't really know yet. We're going to have to play it and find out. Meantime, we're flying around, scanning all this neat stuff. This is a dock pier, by the way. This is for the docking of big-ass ships. They'll come in at the end here. We've got little docks there as well. Not just big docks. I thought this was just for big ships, but maybe not. Maybe it lets us dock there. There are multiple docks around these things. You're not necessarily going to land in the same place every time you come in. And indeed, when you take off, you're not necessarily going to take off from the same place. So, when you go away and leave your ship alone for a while and are wandering around, after a while, it will be taken into internal storage inside the station. And unlike Elite Dangerous, that actually makes a difference. In Elite Dangerous, it's a nice, flashy graphic, and that's as far as it goes. In this game, if this were multiplayer, which alas it is not, because there's no way they could make the economy system on this work multiplayer. If it were multiplayer, when you disappear your ship, or when your ship is disappeared into internal storage, it frees the pad up. That pad is then available to be used again, because your ship is genuinely transferred into internal storage, not just moved underground. When you recover your ship, when you recall it and go and rejoin it, it will not go back to the same, or it might, but it will not necessarily go back to the same pad that you originally landed on. So far in my experience, I have always launched from what I now assume actually to be the end of one of those piers. I've always had a launch from an internal bay rather than taking off from a pad. But that's only if it disappears it into internal storage. Right, so far I'm not finding any signals. So we'll come back to the idea of finding signals later on, switch off scan mode, and we will talk about Mode 2, long range scan. Before we do that, we're going to really want to look at the map. And by the way, how lovely is that holographic scanner down at the bottom there? The fact that the station is represented fully on the scanner as a wireframe. So as you're flying around it, as you're getting close, it just builds up to dominate the scanner. Is absolutely glorious. It just looks amazing to me. And of course, that scanner gives you your galactic plane, or at least your solar system plane. So you've got essentially an artificial horizon type of arrangement that lets you know when you are in line with the galactic plane. A useful thing to know. Let's boost away from this a little bit. So now I'm using the booster, going up to 1400 meters per second, but draining my shield strength. Shield strength is the little blue bar on that arc that you can see in my HUD in the center of the screen. We've got speed at the top, the little triangle showing my set speed, and then the bar underneath it showing my actual speed as I move that up, the throttle up and down. Then we've got the hull is the white line under that, and the shields the blue line beneath that. Over to the right of my HUD, you can see my weapon indicator, the funny little headlight symbol. And if I fire off my weapon, we should see an indication that it is building up heat. There's a little dot has appeared next to it, and it is there we go. We've got a bar building up heading towards the signal from the right. We've got a little bar there that is the heat indicator for that weapon, and I stop firing and it goes straight back down again. So if enough heat builds up, the weapon stops firing. So, long-range scan mode. We'll look at the map first, and then we'll talk about long-range scan mode. So, bringing up the map. First glance, the map confused the hell out of me. This is quite nice. You know, this looks more like a sensor than a map. However, that's because it opens up zoomed right in. So we've got a bunch of ships around here. We can mouse over them. Again, I've swapped to the mouse for doing this. We can mouse over them and see some basic information. We can hold down T while we're over the top of one of them to target it. So I could target that Argon equipment dock. There we go. It's targeted. When we look at the equipment dock, it tells us things like, what'll it buy? As we zoom out, we get an idea that, yeah, maybe this is a map after all. Now, at the moment, my universe is very, very small. It consists here of Black Hole Sun 4. Now, what that means is that there is at least 3 more Black Hole Sun sectors. This is the one that I'm currently in, this one here, Black Hole Sun 4, inside this larger hex, which is a system. Bit confused about the fact there's no way they're going to get another 3 sectors within that system. So it may well be that Black Hole Sun encompasses another system now. I'm not sure quite how that works, because to me a system should be a system, but to this game maybe not. So also seeing on here we have got Fog of War. Haven't explored Black Hole Sun, so most of it we don't know about. This section here is where we've been with our sensor, and it has unlocked it. The bit with hexes are currently outside my sensor range, but I've cleared the Fog of War. So nice way of distinguishing between areas we've never scanned at all, and areas that we have but don't have up-to-date sensor information for. Over here we've got a couple of things that, although we haven't been to them, we know are there because the map is telling us. An unknown object. It's not an unknown object, because if we bring up the legend, we will see that that is a superhighway gate, and indeed that these are superhighways. They're already on the map, and just because they're saying unknown doesn't mean we don't know that's what they are, because we can tell that's what they are, but we don't know where they go. We can take a wild stab. We can guess that they go to another part of Black Hole Sun over here. If we fly through the superhighway gate here, it'll zap us along this highway and drop us out over here in another part of Black Hole Sun. There are also local highways. The difference between a superhighway and a local highway is largely how they work. Local highways are like roads. You can pull onto them at any point, drive along them, pull off them at any point. Not really like roads, I suppose, because if you pull off the road at any point, you get arrested or you smash through somebody's front garden, something like that. But that's basically what they are. They're like roads. You can pull into them, travel along them for a while, and pull off again. And those will boost your speed up to considerably faster than even your travel mode will get you to, and let you get to places. They can be extremely useful as in your early exploration, because quite often you will find that local highways aren't at all local. It's a misnomer. That they will run through jump gates into neighbouring systems and quite possibly work in a loop. So you can jump on, find a whole bunch of systems, whole bunch of stations and sectors, but only really know what's close to the highway as you zip past it. But it will open up your map and give you more options as to where you're going to go. Superhighways, you can't join a superhighway anywhere except at its entry gate, and you can't leave it except at the far end at its exit gate. The reason for the 2 different symbols here, this top one, that's a way in, and this bottom one, that's a way out. So this is where the gate back comes out, and up here is the gate that we can go through. So I will point at that unknown object with my mouse, right click, and a menu appears. Because it's an unknown object, that menu basically is useless to me. I don't know what... The ship doesn't know what it is, so it doesn't know what options to give me. So what I'll do instead is I will click next to it, because that's just a place in space, and then I can start guidance to that position. So now I've basically told my nav computer that I want to go over there where that unknown object is. I'm going to fly through the unknown object, go to the other end of the gate, and then I'm going to use the long-range scanner from there, because that strikes me as an excellent way of demonstrating the long-range scanner. We'll be going into an entirely new area, and when we get there we will scan it to see if there's anything around. We're 52 kilometers from this gate and doing 180 meters per second. This is going to take a while. Time to introduce the final and very important ship mode, travel mode. Watch what happens to my speed, which is currently 180 meters per second, when I hit travel mode. First we get a bit of charge time, and then up we go. 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1000, 1100, 1200. We're moving pretty damn quick now. 1400, 1500, 1600, 1700, 1800. Don't know how fast this will go. Turning off travel mode now, because it takes a while to slow down, and I'm going to hugely overshoot if it wasn't for one thing. I know I'm going into a gate, so I don't care about whether I've slowed down enough by the time I reach it. It'll just conserve my velocity when I hit the other end. In fact, I have done. So this ship seems to accelerate faster in travel mode than the Disco does, but also decelerate faster, which is useful. So I've dropped out 6 kilometers from the gate. I'm just going to use my booster to get me in there that little bit quicker. And we will jump into this super highway. There we go. Instant funky graphics.
Entering Black Hole Sun 5.
And we're in Black Hole Sun 5, having come out the other side. Now, something that is different from earlier X games, for anyone who has played them, when you go into something like an accelerator or indeed a jump gate, your velocity is conserved. You can do 1800 meters per second into a jump gate. And when you come out the jump gate of the other side of the jump gate, you will still be doing 1800 meters per second. In the previous games, you were always at 0 speed on the other side of a jump gate. There are times when coming out of a jump gate at high speed could be really, really useful. There are also times when it could be very, very awkward, like you're jumping into a new, unexplored system, you come out the other end at 1800 meters per second and realize there's a station directly in front of you. Be wary of these things. So here we are. We are in a new part of Black Hole Sun. And if we bring the map up, what do we know about this new part of Black Hole Sun? Very, very little. Just what our sensors can see, which at the moment are a food ration factory, a defense platform with some laser towers, and the gate back. That's about all we can see at the moment. So, time to use the long-range scanner. We will pop into long-range scan mode, and our secondary fire button has now become a scanner. We can charge our scanner for up to 2 seconds. Charge for too long and it won't work, but the longer you charge it, the greater the range, and then it will fire off a pulse in the direction that we are looking and find out whether there's anything in there. So there we go. There goes our pulse, looking for things in that direction. Doesn't look like it has particularly found anything. However, there is a fight going on around here. So let's take a look and see what we've got. A raiding party. Oh, it's a Xenon raiding party. Crap on crap. Okay, so we kind of accidentally got ourselves into a fight here. The nasty Xenon seems to think that it would be a good idea to attack me and ignore the other ships in the area.
Big mistake. Very big mistake.
Did not really come here wanting to get into a fight. not well suited for one at the moment. Oh, it's dead. Aha! It's dead and has left behind stuff. Did I catch that? I don't think I did. Right, let's just bring up the map. See what we've got. That's the dead Xenon. And there we have a container containing 3 interface units. So we'll target that. And we will just fly through it. There we go. Dropped container contained interface unit 3 of. So, crafting materials, basically. Found some crafting materials from that Xenon that I had nothing to do with killing.
We'll have to do more damage than that.
So, let's go back to my long-range scan mode. Pick a direction. And fire off a scan. See if it finds me anything. You really get an idea of what this is doing if you test fire into an asteroid field, because then it will flag a whole bunch of asteroids that you couldn't see until you fired off your long-range sensor into it. It looks, in that respect, a lot like the new scanners that we are going to be using from the 11th in Elite Dangerous when mining. It has a very similar effect, fires off a pulse through and highlights all the asteroids. It's rather cool. We do like it a lot. So far, I'm not really having a lot of luck with my long-range scanner in finding anything in this area. What I'm looking for is for little question marks to appear. Oh, I found one. Unknown station. So there we go. I obviously did find an unknown station when I fired off my pulse in that direction. So, don't know what it is. It's unknown. But I do know that it's there, and I know that it's a station. So, let's point towards it. Turn on travel mode to get there in a hurry, and then for good measure I will turn on my autopilot. Pressing the right button to do it, which should drop me out of travel mode as I approach the station. This is an important thing because the tactical flyby is just as common with travel mode as it is with frame shift. Seeing lots of enemy ships around here as well. So I expect the autopilot to drop me fairly soon, because it usually drops you quite a way short of the target, unless it goes wrong and flies you headlong into it, which it's done to me twice so far.
Autopilot. Disengage.
And there we go, disengaging the autopilot, zeroing. Oops, just accidentally turned on travel mode again, but I didn't want that, so I switched it off before it charged. I actually do want travel mode, but I didn't want to turn it on just yet. You'll notice also my speed is quite low. It's down to 91 at the moment. My throttle, however, is maxed. It's not continuously reading the throttle. Till I change the throttle, it won't update. So, simple way to get around that is just to boost quickly, and there we go. Back to the 180. It's quite a slow ship, this, compared to the 220-something, 224, I think, of the Discoverer. So far, I'm thinking unknown Explorer start. This Unknown Explorer is the better start. This one has more money, but I prefer the other start. Let's travel mode for a little bit to get closer, but not a full-on whack because we don't want to overshoot. That probably will do us to be going on with. Now, it definitely slows down quicker than the Disco does. So I can risk getting closer before I turn it off. And what have we got? We have got a medical supply factory. Now, I made good money out of medical supplies at the start of my other game. It was medical supplies was the first thing that I shipped for a profit. But I did do quite a bit of exploration before I started trading, because I wanted to be sure that I knew places I could go. So, let's investigate this station in scan mode. We'll turn off the guidance, because we don't need it anymore. We're here. That's Shift G by default. You can configure other buttons to do that on other controllers if you want, but I find it just as easy to hit Shift G because it's not something I'm using all the time. Up to 16% unlocked on this station so far. Whoops, a daisy. Don't fly into it. By default, there is a collision avoidance setting on this game, which I'm assuming is why I don't go splat every time I fly very badly around a station. I might turn it off at some point and find out how quickly I die. The texturing on this is absolutely lovely, by the way, is it not? You see it better if I turn off scan mode because you don't get the strange colour overlay on the HUD, but it's got that worn boilerplate look that the Millennium Falcon or anything made by the BBC always had. It doesn't look like a pristine, lovely new Star Trek space station. It looks like something that has been used. So we'll go back to scan mode, and then we will fly around, and we're hoping that this time we'll find a signal. So we're listening out for, as I said, radio static effectively. And we're ignoring the fight going on out there against the Xenon, because we really don't feel up to killing Xenon. Not in this ship. With my one poxy little gun. Just out of interest, what we have there, you'll notice, is a turret. And we can target it. Medical supply factory, Argon medium tracking turret. So if we were attacking a station, which is not something I would want to do, but if we were attacking a station, we could, in fact, specifically target things like turrets and take them out. There is, in fact, a button that lets you cycle through such components on a target, as there is in most other similar type games. I love these holographic displays. This again is something that the X games have done for a while. They like having holographics. There's a lot of them in X3, and they're using them very well in this one. I just want to know if I can fly through that ring. And apparently the answer is yes. So there we go. There's something I could do if I get bored, just see how quickly I can fly through that ring without crashing horribly. Answer probably being not very. So it's still not picking up any signals. Before, when I was playing my other game and I didn't know what they were yet, I was finding signals all over the place. This one, want to demonstrate them, can't find a bleeding signal. I may have to just play the game and hope to find a signal at random rather than actively seeking one out, because it doesn't seem to want to cooperate at the moment. So, we've had a look at some of the basics of exploration. We know how the long-range sensor works, that we can send a pulse out and hope to find something. Let's have a look at the manual ways of exploring. So to explore manually, relatively simple. You can just open up the map, say I want to know what's over there, start guidance to that position, point my ship in the appropriate direction. Actually, I didn't even need to point my ship in the appropriate direction because I'm about to turn on the autopilot, which would have done that for me.
Engaged.
Then I will turn on travel mode. Then I'm going to go back into the map, because that way, as my speed builds up in travel mode and I start moving across the map, I can see things appearing in real time. And also we can see these hexes appearing behind me, showing that that area is now out of range of my sensors as we go, which I think is a really nice touch. The reason that you have just seen a Euro Truck Simulator 2 Steam notification in the bottom right is that the only way I can get OBS to find this game at the moment is by using display capture rather than window or game capture. So unfortunately that's just one of those things. It's possible I may be able to get it to find it using window or display capture at a later date. I haven't poked at it properly yet. I've been focusing on work, really, and playing about 12 hours of this game in between work. But not really focusing on streaming it. This evening was my how can we stream this game? And the answer seems to be reasonably well so far as I can tell. Unless anybody wishes to complain about the stream now. I'm not showing any dropped frames. I'm not getting encoding overloaded warnings, which I was before. Hey, look, a Xenon raiding party again. So there must be something out here, because there are ships out here. So it could be that the Xenon is just raiding these ships. There's a mineral miner. It's odd, we're not in a mineral zone, and yet there's a mineral miner out here.
Autopilot. Disengage.
Right, let's get out of the map, because there's a Xenon over there, and I don't want to be sat in the map, not moving, not on autopilot, with a Xenon nearby. Do I want to fight the Xenon? It's a raiding party M. I'm guessing that's a size M. But I don't know much about it. I know that I'm a size S. So if it is a size M, it's bigger than me. It's moving considerably faster than I can. So if it wants me, it's going to get me. That's really not an issue. Let's get a little bit of distance between me and it and hope it doesn't come after me, and then we can decide where we're going to go next. So there's Braben. There's the Xenon. It seems to be heading towards that Kestrel over there, which is fine by me. So I think I'm going to continue my explorations, and I'm going to head down this side of the sector.
Autopilot engaged.
And see if we can find anything interesting down there. I mean, there's Kark down there. Right now we've got a completely different nasty alien race there. The Kark are in fact much, much easier to kill. So I'm going to turn off my autopilot.
Disengage.
And I'm going to head towards that Kark. Because that, I reckon I might be able to take. Ooh. Hull is nearly gone anyway, so. And this is a Kark ship. This is what Kark ships have always looked like. These weird pyramidal shapes, which the bigger ones are actually made up of smaller Kark ships. They split up. It's kind of funky. distance. Its shields were down already. It's purely on hull, and its hull's not in great condition, but it's got nasty, nasty weapons. Arc beam weapons were always horrible, and I never liked them. But that looks like that's the end of it. One dead cock, which has spectacularly failed to drop anything for me to pick up. But I killed a thing. So, that's important. I killed a thing. Don't mess with me. And we have these rather nice dead ship models left behind. So there we go, one dead cock ship. Burned out and lovely. And then we'll go back to the autopilot and head towards the area that we wanted to investigate. See what we can see along the way. Now, I don't get any money for that little sort of encounter, because I don't have any kind of a police license. If I did, I might have earned some bounty. But bounty hunting in the X games is something that you have to be licensed for. So when a faction likes you enough, you can buy a police license from them, and then you can start earning money. Over here we've got an Argon trading station. Whoa, yes, excellent. That is the first time I have actually found an Argon trading station, or a trading station of any kind, in either game. I'm going to turn off the autopilot and the travel mode and do this manually. Trading stations are generic trade platforms, really. In the earlier games, there's certain goods that you always knew you could get from trading stations, or sell to trading stations, always at the galactic average price. Presumably, they are going to be much the same in this version, but this is the first time I've found one, because the universe is far less well developed in this game than it was in X3, or even in X, because everything went to pot when the jump gates collapsed, and then the jump gates have been reawakened, and the sectors are beginning to talk to one another again in the time since. Part of which was happening, this was to do with the plot of X Rebirth, though I haven't probably played X Rebirth, so I can't say entirely what went on there. But either way, the galaxy is rebuilding itself. Whoa, wait a minute, I heard a signal. Can you hear that? Sounds like static.
You don't stand a chance. Am I supposed to take you seriously?
Looking for a signal, which could take one of numerous forms. I wonder if actually, is that blinking light over there, or is that just a graphic? No, because there are blinking lights on each of those, so that matches the other blinking light over there, so it won't be a signal. The first signal I found was indeed a little box with a blinking light on it. But there are also what look like fireworks in space that are signals. When you're stopping flying backwards, zero the throttle before you take your finger off the invert throttle button. Okay, so signal gets quieter and goes away if I fly in that direction. What if I fly in this direction? still getting louder, we're still getting louder. That's getting quieter, isn't it? So it's back this way. Looking for anything that might be my signal source. Signal's really quite loud around here. I may be going blind and failing to see something really obvious. Right. No signal here. Ooh, I've lost the signal completely now. But I can hear it there. I wonder, I can't see it. Could it be that I'm picking up a signal from the other side of this module? Right, and the answer is no. Oh, hang on. Remember what I said about throttles? There's definitely a signal here somewhere, but I'm having nothing ever goes well when you're on stream. Oh, really loud over here. I think actually it must be over here somewhere. Oh, hang on. There we go. Find a little firework spark. That's got to be it. Doesn't look like enough. I wonder if it's if it's slightly buggily generated the signal inside the station. Because that looks like the extreme edges of the firework type signal, which would be, if that's the case, inside that piece of station where I cannot get close enough to it. Oh no, I can get close enough. Bingo, we've got a message, a transmission. Modulating audio signal, communication established. Press F to continue.
Stop them! Ah, that should do it. I had to disable my voice filter. I was beginning to think my messages were being intercepted by those split fellows. I'm a little disappointed that it was this easy. I don't suppose they sent you, did they? Oh, that would be quite devious.
So, the only response I have is, who are they?
What should I call them? I suppose captors is quite apt. Employers? They let me work on my own projects some days, you see.
Do you need help?
Ah, yes, you see, I'm in a spot of bother. I'm in the middle of some important scientific research, which I'm unable to pursue personally from my current location. I'm looking for an assistant to aid me.
Right, so I've got what do you need or sorry can't help at the moment. What do you
I'll
need?
send the task to your ship computer. This is rather exciting.
Right, now I had this before. I came across this one on the my other game. And I like the objectives. 1, dock at station. 2, pick up interface unit. 3, fly to scientific area. 4, achieve life's work. So, time approaches when my research will bear fruit and my goal realized. Be realized. I'm looking for an assistant, or rather a partner, to assist me in my task, as my current hosts are unfortunately not so inclined to aid in any field that doesn't directly help them. Quite understandable. I digress. If you're reading this message, that means you've been selected. Exciting, isn't it? If you follow the instructions, you will be experiencing science before you know it. And right down in the bottom right quite small where it's easy to miss it, and I did last time, we have got an accept and decline. So we will accept. It's right down in the bottom corner, and last time I didn't see it there when I just closed the window using the X up in the corner, in the top right, which automatically declines.
Wonderful. I have managed to place the device on a nearby docking area. You should be getting the coordinates now.
So, waiting for it to autosave, which takes a while. Right. Still in scan mode, so as I go, it's still scanning these modules. And indeed, that is a docking station. But I do not currently have permission to dock. So, best get permission to dock. I have the trading station currently targeted, so I can press the button to bring up target actions. Brings up this little menu down the bottom, and then I can select request dock at, and the gits don't want me to dock at this pad by the looks of it. Because I can't see as well as I should be able to because there's a cat in the way. Excuse me a moment. Right, anybody see any green flashing lights telling me where to go? Did they deny me docking access? I wasn't. And I just, oh no, there we go. They just want me to dock all the way over there. This could prove awkward. Hopefully, I will be able to use the transporter to go to the correct docking bay, and retrieve the item. So, docking. Manually landing, because I don't have a docking computer. Now that I've come into the docking area, a couple of things. One, as I flew into this force shield around it, my ship slows dramatically. Second, I get this HUD graphic for docking. So, you need to be pointed roughly at the green target bit. Then you've got to be lined up, so as you roll, those lines connect up well enough. You've got to be in line with the pad, so that needs to be in the center where those little green arrows light up, and then you've got to be above the pad, and then that bit lights up, at which point down you go. Nice, effective docking indicator that gets you lined up manually quite nicely. And a little bloke standing there waving me in, but I couldn't see him. So, let's get up and go see whether we can find our device.
Requesting permission to dock. Docking permission.
We have got guidance pointing us towards said device. Currently, in fact, pointing me towards a transporter that will take me to said device. So, let's walk around to the transporter. And apparently we need to go to the luxury dock area 1M6S. So, travel to. And we're at a different dock. We're at the dock that I wasn't allowed to land at. Now we can go looking, following the guidance, for the device, whatever it may be. Apparently it's over here. There it is, interface unit. Take. We have picked up an interface
Very
unit.
good. I see you have found the device. This will allow me to monitor your activity and perform experiments remotely. Please keep it safe. Oh my, it seems your pulse is elevated. You must be very excited to take part in this expedition. I'm glad. So, shall we begin? I will attempt to direct you in the best way possible. Please be patient with me.
So we've got the interface. We need to undock. So back to the ship, which we haven't actually looked at the ship since I put the fishy logo on the side. But look, there, it has fishy on the side. Doesn't have it on this wing. It has it on the wing on the other side, though. See? Look at that. How cool is that? Why would you ever want to play games that don't let you put your own custom graphic onto it? I don't know. Actually, yes, I do know, because Elite's still a really cool game. I'm going to continue playing that too. So, back on board. And undock. Back into space we go, and we have guidance pointing us towards somewhere.
I don't expect you've spoken with too many Boron before. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Bozo Tar, and it is a pleasure. I do wish it were in person, but my current situation is quite precarious. You must be quite curious on what a lonely old Boron is trying to achieve. There's still so many mysteries and unanswered questions. Are spaceflies sentient? Where are the lost Boron systems? Is faster than light telepathy possible? It is our task to push the physics of this universe to the breaking point and see if it answers any of those questions.
Or if it just
My
breaks.
current employers only seem happy when my research results in novel weapon modifications. Very curious people, those Split. I do hope they move me to a new tank soon. My tentacles grow weak.
So, the scientific area is
I
over
wonder
there.
how my homeworld is faring. It has been such a long time since we have had news of it.
Nice that we have got some old school X lore coming into play there. The Boron and the Split have warred on many occasions. The Split are a very warlike race. Think of them basically as ex-Klingons. And the Boron are a far more peaceful, semi-aquatic race. Their ships are slow but look beautiful, at least in the previous games. Don't even know if there are Boron ships in this one. Well, we've ascertained that this ship can do 2,528 meters per second in travel mode at maximum, because that's what we've topped out at. Wonder how long it takes to slow down from that. I think I'm going to deactivate now.
You appear to be getting close to
Hope
where
of
I
not
detected an
completely
anomaly.
overshooting.
Could you please try using the long-range scanner to search for an anomaly in this vicinity?
Okay, so I think the reason why this mission, when in the briefing for it, mission type showed as plot. This mission is very tutorial, isn't it? It's, talk to the guy in the signal, go and pick up his thing by walking around in a station, fly out here and use the long-range scanner. It's got a very ease you into the game type feel to it, and I detected it on both of my saves, so it's obviously also very common, possibly even a fixed event that will happen at some point early in the game. Well, I've found some unknown stations, but I don't appear to have found the anomaly.
Are you having trouble locating the anomaly in the area I have stated? I suggest you use the long-range scanner to help find it.
Yes, well, I overshot. I'm going to fly back past it in the other direction, turn round, and then fire off the long-range scanner again. See if that helps. And then the next tactic is just to fire it off in some different directions until eventually we find an anomaly. No anomaly yet. Oh, wait.
Aha! There it is.
An anomaly.
If reports are to be believed, these anomalies are tears, which may lead to other areas of space, much like the jump gates. I suggest you mark the location of the anomaly on your map. So,
Unstable
how
warp
adventurous do
anomaly.
you feel today? Thanks to my research, I do have a fair idea of where you may end up.
Now, this
Of
again,
course, the quickest way to confirm my theory is to put it into practice.
is something that we've seen before in the X games. In the storyline for X3 Reunion, I seem to recall you have to go through such a warp anomaly, essentially. It's a jump hole that doesn't have a gate attached to it at one point during the storyline. But I've only ever come across them as part of storyline, the storyline mission. I've never come across one just in normal flight. I'm just going to try and remember what the quick save and quick load buttons are quickly. I think it's F5 and F9, but let's just check. Yeah, general controls. Quick save F5, quick load F9. So before I go in here, let's just quick save. Not that I don't trust the game. And I'm going to drink some cold tea that I completely forgot about at the start of this stream nearly 2 hours ago. Yep, that is indeed cold now. So, fortified by cold tea, leave us fly into a warp anomaly. Drop a beacon near the anomaly to mark it on your map. How in the name of Smeg do I do that? That's got to be a deployable, hasn't it? I don't think I have any deployables on board. Let's... Okay, that's weird. Why has my throttle suddenly gone to... It was full range and it's not anymore. And I don't know why. Somewhere down the line I may have hit a button. That's a bit weird. So, let's try opening up the map and see if there's some way of... Nope, I can... I've got no idea about dropping a beacon. I don't think I've got one. Deployables. Oh yes, navigation beacons. 5 of 50. I have a navigation beacon. So there we go. I don't know if there's a better way of doing this, but I can deploy it from here. So there we go. We've deployed a nav beacon. Cool. Didn't even know I had nav beacons to be deployed. Fly into anomaly, it says. Yeah, just no big deal. I'd like you to fly into the unstable warp zone now. It's all good. Something's going very strange because I now am at full throttle and not moving. So maybe it wasn't...
Grand Exchange.
Ooh, I found Grand Exchange. That sounds like a Taladi system.
It took a moment to realign the frequency. It is just as I thought. You have made it through the anomaly and emerged in a distant region. Your location is actually of great interest to me. Over the years, I have managed to pull sensor logs from passing ships to help further my work. I highlighted this as a prime location for my research, should I ever get the chance. While the previous anomaly is interesting, my findings point to something else here, which I expect will lead to a groundbreaking discovery. Allow me to guide you to a particular area.
Okay, you want me to go over there, do you? Let's fire off a long-range scanner in that direction first, see if we get an idea of what's going to be over there. Well, it's a mineral zone, that's what this red means. We've got an unknown object down there. An unknown station over there. But let's fly into the asteroid zone in travel mode at stupidly fast speeds. That's always going to be good. So, probably should have flagged up spoilers on this stream, but it's not a hugely spoilery game. It's not got a central plot line, apparently. There are lots of small stories in the game that
I am
different
currently
on
evaluating what equipment
different
we will need
playthroughs
to make the most
you'll
of this
meet different
location.
stories.
Space here is wounded, with a scar in his fabric which seems to have healed multiple times. There is no record of any abnormal activity at these sites. To everyone else, this is simply an empty area of space. In my search for signals from long-lost boron, I have detected multiple scars in space which continue to spew a multitude of particles and radiation. In a bustling sector such as this, it would only be seen as background noise. However, some of the noise seems to have artificial form. We are going to tear this scar wide open and peer inside. Of course, the universe is a fickle thing. One miscalculation, and we may well destroy the whole system.
No problems at
Such
all.
stakes make this all the more exciting.
Yeah, all the more exciting for
Before we
people
get
a long
started,
way away
allow
from
me
the
to
system.
reimburse you for your help so far. I do hope the Split don't mind me using their credit account to help fund our venture.
25,000 credits. Excellent. That was worth doing.
Now, the experiment. You will first need to place a satellite around this area in order for us to better understand its nature and how best to provoke the anomaly. I suggest you also deploy a resource probe so that we can see how the anomaly has affected the local environment. You should be able to acquire these deployable items from stations which offer upgrades. I know of such a station near your location. I will add the information to your map.
That's handy, but actually, I already have some.
Good work. I'm receiving a much clearer signal from the tear. Almost immediately, I can see that there are far more gravimetric shears here compared to any other
So,
anomaly
that's
ever
the resource
documented.
probe.
That indicates mass. But of what? This shows some similarities with a jump gate event horizon. But there is something else. Could it be a temporal distortion? Perhaps dimensional? Very interesting. Would you please deploy a resource probe in this specified area? I'm curious of this environment.
Resource probe in the specified area, which is over there, 4 clicks away. So, as we can see, the missions give us more to this game than just fly around and make money. Oops, a daisy. I should not have boosted. I was too close to the zone already. That fly past was courtesy of a cat. No great shock there. Right. 6 meters. I don't think I'm going to get closer to it than 6 meters, do you? So, deploy another resource probe.
You will now be able to see the yields of the resources in the area, should you wish to extract them. As for our research, it seems that nearby objects are covered in exotic particles, possibly spewed from the anomaly. I hate to be a bother, but I have an idea on how to proceed. We will need a ship to be flown to a very precise location near the anomaly. If we fit the ship with the right equipment, we may be able to open the tear wider and have a better idea of what is on the other side.
So,
This will
indeed,
likely
we
end up
are
in the ship's
seeing
destruction,
ice
so I will
yields
help cover
now.
the expenses of acquiring a new ship for the task.
Ship must contain 3 antimatter cells. Wacko! However, new balance 235,000 credits. That's what we like to see. Let's just bring up our experiment mission. So, Deliver a ship with the following criteria. 3 antimatter cells. Objectives. Deploy satellite at target position. Deploy resource probe at target position. Deliver suitable ship. See, my concern here is this whole business of this might destroy the ship. Should I have a different ship with 3 antimatter cells here, rather than just bringing mine and possibly dying? Either way, I think before I continue with this interesting plot mission, which if we open the briefing, that's where it says mission type plot, given by civilian, difficulty medium. Nearest antimatter cell factory is Taladi Refined Goods Complex in Grand Exchange 3. Nice that it's telling me that, since I need that for the mission. I think I'm going to set this to inactive for the moment. And we'll come back to that mission at a later date. I don't want to get too caught up in doing this mission, especially if, as I suspect, it is a kind of a fixed event mission that anyone playing this is likely to go through themselves. You've seen the beginning of it. I don't want to spoiler too much of where it goes. However, what I do want to do is I want to show a bit of trading, obviously, because this is a trading... trading's a big deal in this game. So I'm setting that mission to inactive, as I say, and I am going to look at whether I can do some buying and selling. So first thing, there's an unknown object there. There's an asteroid, lodestone asteroid, don't know what that means, but it sounds interesting, and an unknown station there. Let's check out the unknown object first. Let's click near it, start guidance to that unknown object. Is that unknown object actually just the anomaly? Well, let's just buzz over there and find out. To activate the autopilot, I meant to disengage travel mode, which actually happened anyway when I activated the autopilot. So the unknown object should be somewhere around here. And it turns out to be... Right, it's over there. I still don't know what it is. Can I target it? Oh, I can start. I can set my guidance more accurately by zooming in on the map. So let's... rather liking these asteroids. As I said, looks-wise, the game is no Elite Dangerous, but Elite Dangerous is one of the most awesome-looking things in the history of awesome-looking things, and I would find it easier to talk if the cat didn't keep moving my microphone. Looks suspiciously like the unknown object was just an asteroid. Oh, there's a lockbox. That sounds interesting. I think that may actually have been my unknown object, mightn't it? I think the asteroid was, in fact, a red herring. Just happened to be near the thing. The other thing you get with the Explorer start, by the way, the Disco has got better long-range sensor software than this Elite has got, so therefore gives you better information. Right, lockbox, interesting. Has 2 locks. I wonder how one deals with locks on a lockbox. I'm going to take a wild stab that one maybe shoots them off. But that might not be right, so I'm a bit... No, that actually blows up the lockbox, possibly. Yep, that does indeed blow up the lockbox. So we don't shoot locks off a lockbox. Remember that, people. Important safety tip. Don't try to shoot the locks off a lockbox using a laser weapon, ship-mounted laser weapon. Well, at least I have ascertained that if I can't have it, no one else can have it either. We made that absolutely sure. Hey, we're learning here. So, container security decryption system. That sounds like cool shit left behind after a battle. Let's fly and pick up the cool shit left behind after a battle. TM. And thank you, Devkas. It was just a thought. I did, absolutely. I'm just... You can all learn from my mistakes. I'm wondering whether this security decryption system over here... What do you mean, flight assist disabled? I did not disable flight assist. All I did was turn off... Apparently I did disable flight assist. Well, I meant to do. I don't know quite how. I lost that container. Did it time out? Yeah, I think the container timed out. That's annoying. I was wondering though whether the decrypt thing that was in it might possibly have helped me with opening a lockbox if I hadn't already killed the lockbox. So we've got an ice refinery over here. That makes sense. This is an ice zone. We've got silicon refinery over there. Now, the silicon refinery, we will notice, has this funny little symbol next to it. It's little... it's actually, I think it's a light bulb in a circle. That's a mission. So if I mouse over it, it comes up with Economic Minefield, reward 128,600 credits. I can right-click to get a look at what this is. It's a hard mission that I'm not going to be doing, obviously. I mean, it's worth 128,000 credits. I knew from the moment I saw that I wasn't going to be doing it. But let's see what it says. In order to make sure we have clear-cut advantage over our competitors in the coming weeks, we'd like to see their traders delayed by some well-located but inexplicably placed explosive mines. We're looking for a third-party contractor to place these mines around the gates, superhighways and accelerators in our competitors' territory. So yeah, deploy 12 mines for 128,600 credits, and presumably not getting killed by the people who own the area that you're mining. Well, I'm not going to be doing that. That's not the sort of mining that I had in mind for this game. But we've ascertained that there are stations over here. We've got this silicon refinery, which is selling silicon at silicon wafers at 308 credits, which looks like it's a pretty good price because they've got, the 3 dots there means they've got a lot of it, so it should be a good price. They're buying silicon. They will buy any amount of silicon at 150. So obviously, if you're here in a mining ship mining silicon, that's the place to take it. Haven't looked into how you mine in this game yet. You need a mining laser in the previous games. I'm assuming you will in this as well. The other thing that's being bought here is ice at the ice refining station over there. And funny enough, they sell water. Odd the way that works. Well, we've got some asteroids over here that we know have silicon and ice. So we could, if we had the things, mine them around these 2 resource probes. Liking these resource probe things, this is a nice idea. This again, it's a different way of doing it to the way Elite is dealing with mining and determining resources, but equally valid. I like the idea of going into one of these zones, dropping a resource probe, and that giving you an idea of what the yield's going to be, so that you can start mining. That's kind of cool. We like that. So where we're going to head now, we can see there's a superhighway over there. So let's head over there and find the superhighway that we know is going to be there, so that we can get out and see whether we can do a bit of mining, do a bit of trading. That's what I wanted to do. Ooh, look at that. Was that just two rocks flew into one another? Big boom and a cloud of something. Presumably silicon dust. So we're flying towards, at the moment, a big rock. Let's not hit the big rock. And there indeed we can now see ahead of us is a superhighway, an accelerator, which we are approaching at 2,500 meters per second. So let's slow the heck down. There's a station over there. I wonder what that station over there is. Find out before we go through the gate. And it's a medical supply factory. So we're gradually building up a little bit of a picture of the universe. It's quite a small picture as yet, but we've got multiple systems. We've got 18 billion, which is because that's the information that was given us for the mission. We can go to the Taladi Wharf and shipyard to buy the stuff to continue with the mission. Grand Exchange, where we zapped into, and 2 sectors of Grand Exchange we can see there, and 2 sectors of Black Hole Sun. So slowly but surely we're beginning to build up a picture of the universe on this rather cool 3D map, which by the way is filterable. So you can, for example, filter by trade filters, you can filter by mining filters, think filters, you can look for alerts. So filters mean that this very potentially overwhelming map doesn't get too bad, because there's a lot of information can appear on this map when you're, particularly when you're zoomed out and it's showing you. I mean, there's 12 stations within those 3 sectors. I've got more sectors than that available on the other map, on the other game, because I did quite a bit of hopping around. Let's just jump through this accelerator.
Entering Grand Exchange 4.
And now we're in Grand Exchange 4. So yeah, okay. We've got... I wonder where Grand Exchange 2 is. I'm wondering whether Grand Exchange 2... I mean, looking at this, Grand Exchange 2, logically, has got to be... up or down, hasn't it? Because there's only room for 3 hexes within there, in that arrangement. So, either Grand Exchange 2 is actually in a separate sector, effectively, separate one of these big hexes, or it's got to be up or down. I wonder which. But either way, Grand Exchange 2, where we are now, Grand Exchange 4 even, where we are now, isn't proving hugely helpful. We don't currently have a way home from this section. We'd been investigating in Black Hole Sun. We'd been looking at what was there. We don't currently have a way back. What's that? Ah, we've got a Taladi Refined Goods Complex in Grand Exchange 3. That's where they told us we could buy the antimatter things. But we don't know whether there are any jump gates yet. We haven't found any jump gates. So, if I want to be showing off how trading works in this game, I really need to be able to trade, and I'm not much in a position to right at the moment. So let's head over there where there are a couple of stations and hope that from there we can start exploring and maybe find a jump gate. These games are great for sucking you in, as with, again, the comparison to Elite Dangerous. You start playing to do a thing, you end up doing something totally different, takes you to an area that you weren't originally anticipating going to, doing things you weren't originally anticipating doing, and then eventually turning around and coming back to where you were, which is doing something totally different. So here we have got a silicon refinery. Tempted to land on said silicon refinery. Am I seeing anything else interesting? Not yet. So, I think we probably need to try some long-range scanning. So, let's go to long-range scanning mode. Fire off a pulse in that direction. Nothing obvious coming up there. Let's fire off a pulse in that direction. I may have to just manually point out into space and fly off. As you can possibly tell, at the moment I'm just randomly firing off pulses into various areas of space. Do you see that like ripple effect in there? That was the long-range scanner picking up on all those asteroids. The scanner does seem to scan in all directions, but it focuses on the direction that you're pointing in. You get more information in that direction, apparently. But it has failed to find me anything significantly useful. So I think I am just going to pick a direction and head out into space to see if there is anything there. I'll wait until I'm past that station before I turn the autopilot on. Don't trust autopilot in these games. I've been killed way too many times by a bad autopilot.
Requesting permission to dock. Docking permission granted.
Right.
Autopilot engaged.
So, let's think. What of the things that I wanted to cover this evening haven't I covered yet? I've not properly covered trading, for reasons we've already just gone into. I haven't covered ship upgrades yet. I wonder what that fight is. Not my concern, is the immediate and obvious answer. Autopilot off, because that is an accelerator. We do not know yet where it goes, but there's an easy way to find out. Quick look at the map. Why am I so far off everything? Oops. Now I'm going to overshoot because I was looking at the map. And yeah, okay. Accelerator there that seems to be leading through into Grand Exchange 3. So exciting though that other part of Grand Exchange might be. There's an accelerator over there, and naturally, given an accelerator, we're going to fly into it. Such is the basic nature of explorers the universe over. Why did you climb that mountain? Because it was there. Why did you fly into that superhighway accelerator? Because it was there. I started saying earlier that the trade, fight, build, think slogan really does fit these games. I'm currently perhaps not doing enough of the think part of that. Not doing a lot of trading just yet, did a little bit of fighting. Could say that I'm building in that I'm building on a scientific legend. But I'm not really thinking so much because I'm jumping into warp anomalies and unknown accelerators for the hell of it. But it's a journey of discovery.
Entering Grand Exchange 3.
So, what have we got in Grand Exchange 3? We've got a quantum tube factory down there. We want some ships. Other than that, we don't really have anything particularly exciting. Let's maybe fire off a long-range scan. Or 2. Or maybe 3. Who knows, perhaps 4 will do it. And then we'll have a quick look at the map and see if that's popped anything. The answer to which is no, it hasn't. Oh, I know there's Xenon in the area. There's nice. I don't want to fight the Xenon. So again, I think I am going to start some guidance over to that refined goods complex over there. Well, I know I need to buy some, was it antimatter stumpings?
Autopilot engaged.
So even though that mission is currently inactive and I'm not looking at moving it up, moving it on, I may as well buy the stuff while I'm here. Plus, it gives me a direction to explore in. Where there is one station, there may be other stations that I will find by heading in that direction.
I like the look of this cargo. Quick, drop the cargo. No, that's not going to happen. Oh, you're good for nothing. We're just asking for it.
So, there were pirates in the area. Ooh, mammoth construction vessel. That's going to be a big ship. It's a lot of microchip factories, yeah. Microchip factories. Yeah, I said there would be, didn't I? And there is a mission on it, which is a little skull and crossbones. Do I think that is? I think that's going to be a combat mission worth 176,000. So I'm not going to be taking it anyway. But once again, it's just highlighting that there are these missions there. That there was a flashing unknown object over there that I missed. I'm not sure whether that was flashing on my HUD or my map, though. I think that was flashing on my HUD. I'm flying through an asteroid field. I hope the autopilot's up to it. Let's deactivate the autopilot. Indeed, the travel mode, because I want to look at this station here, which looks specifically, suspiciously like a trading station. I wonder if that is perhaps a Taladi trading station. And over there, behind it, a jump gate. We must investigate the jump gate. Meanwhile, stations everywhere, and not a trade to make. So let's have a look. What do we think we've got? We think we have indeed got a Taladi trading station. I thought so. They basically haven't changed in design since the first game. Hello, Mekiadar. We have not died yet in this. No, we've died in the other game. But not in the one that I'm playing this evening. I started a new game this evening to demonstrate things from scratch. We've got a whole part factory over there. We've got a trading station there. Over here we've got the refined goods complex that we were originally headed to. And more important than any of that, over there we've got a jump gate. So, for starters though, I think would be a good idea to dock at this trading station, because we were busy wondering about that mission, we still haven't looked at trading stations to see what you can buy and sell at trading stations, and what they actually offer you. So let's pop into this rather cool looking Taladi trading station and see what we can see. May as well go into scan mode and get a little bit of a scan on the thing on my way in. The only part of it I will scan is the docking bay, obviously, but at least I can scan that. Now, in previous games, you just flew in through the slot and had a little docking animation. This is obviously going to do an elite on us and give us a proper docking bay. Yep, we are inside, and that's where we're going. We need to dock down there. So again, there's the landing HUD, which lets us line our ship up. Oops, overshot there. And once we're lined up, down we go, and we land. A very different looking station to the ones we were in before. Always nice.
Welcome.
So that to me says reason to get up and have a walk around. Wow. See, this is what we're missing in Elite Dangerous, and I hope that they will one day give us the ability to do this. It's utterly pointless being able to get out of your ship and walk around the landing bay, but it's cool. It's walking around the landing bay and looking at shit. This console here, by the way, lets us look at ship options. I don't think I showed that before. So we can do things like redesign our ship here. So there we go. This is, I wanted to look at ship upgrades, and we haven't looked at ship upgrades. So here we go. We can redesign our ship from components that we have on this menu. In certain stations, we can actually buy components to redesign our ship with and fit them there and then. At the moment, I have no modifications that I can be putting on.
Dear visitors,
I do have... that's what Foundation X is. Foundation X, I've finally been given my exclusive paint job, I think, for pre-orders. So, that would give me that paint job, which, frankly, I don't like. So there we go. I've got an exclusive pre-order paint job, and I'm probably not going to use it because I don't like it very much. It might look better on other ships, who knows. But I don't much like it on this one. Well, I will let chat decide, however. Do we want to go with the 5-year-old's drawing of a spaceship paint job, or shall we stick with the one that we had to begin with? I will wait a moment for lag so that you may respond. The original one. Yeah, that's what I thought as well. I'm right, aren't I? This looks like somebody's 5-year-old got a ship with crayons.
Dear visitors, we are experiencing
So we'll close that
some
menu and
minor
not put
surges
the
in
new
our
paint
power
job on.
grid. Please excuse
But at
any
least we've got the new paint job.
inconveniences.
Oh, big ship coming into land. Don't land on me, please. Oh, wow. We may not have to worry about putting down landing gear, but at least it does exist. That ship just definitely deployed landing gear. It's just not something you have to do manually like you do on Elite. Well, there would be stickers on it anyway. It doesn't show in the upgrade menu. It doesn't show your logo, but I have got, of course, which I didn't have when I was streaming this before. But now we have the fishy logo on the ship because you can add your own logos. So there we go. That's, I think, kind of cool. Right, let's look at the station menu. No, the only options I've got there are go to ship or trade, but trade, we wanted to know what we can buy here. Right. Antimatter converters, Claytronics, hull parts, Marja dust, space fuel. I think the little exclamation marks next to those, by the way, indicates that they are things that are new to me and that they are now added to the
Pirates have been seen in the sector.
Galactic
Be
Encyclopedia. They'll buy stuff I don't have. They'll sell stuff I don't want. Largely what this comes down to. So, nothing hugely exciting about this place apart from the fact that it's very cool looking and maybe it'll be more useful to me at a later date. Meanwhile, let's go back into the ship and take off to see where that jump gate goes. The auto-saving, by the way, you can turn auto-saving on or off. I like to leave it on because I'm very bad at remembering to save, so I leave auto-saving on. Yep, alien with tail, that's a Taladi. It's a long way below us now, can't really see it anymore, but there was a Taladi wandering around somewhere, wasn't there? We've so far encountered Taladi wandering around, but we haven't really spoken to any Taladi or done anything with the Taladi. But we are in Taladi space, so there should be a lot of them out there. We have got a mission from a Boron via the signal system that I demonstrated earlier on, whereby you can scan a station and find signals that they're not always messages. In this case it was a message from somebody who wanted to give us a mission, but the signals aren't always messages. They can be things like blueprints. You can pick up data from the signals, which is kind of cool. I'm going to turn my guidance off because I don't actually want to go to the places that the guidance is pointing me. I want to go to the jump gate that I now can't remember where it is. But it's... Ah, there it is. Knew it was out here somewhere. Right, let's head for that jump gate. Can't select the jump gate yet. It won't let me select it. It's just giving me the ships. Jump gate to Black Hole Sun. Right, okay, well, one of the game starts is in Black Hole Sun. So there we go. We are heading to a game start area from a link of a link of a link from another game start area. Let's turn off travel mode so I'm not going through the jump gate too quickly.
Entering system. Black Hole Sun.
And what do we find in Black Hole Sun? There's an Argon trading station. Oh, of course, Black Hole Sun is one of the game start areas. It's the game start area we used. Sorry, getting confused as to which start comes into which thing. So now we've found a way home. We can get out to Grand Exchange and we can get back from Grand Exchange. And now we are back in Black Hole Sun. And we know there's a gate here that heads to Grand Exchange 3, but we also know that there is a warp anomaly down there that goes to Grand Exchange 1. So we've got two different ways to get to Grand Exchange now. Isn't it exciting? Right, let's look at trading, though. So as we zoom out on this area, it shows us some trade information. It says there are 3 stations here and that they are buying food rations, although nobody seems to really want food rations. Wheat and meat, and that they are selling food rations and medical supplies. Well, food rations seem to be buying at 51 and selling at 45. Not much of a profit, but it is a profit. So we could do a trade on food rations just for the sake of getting a basic profit in here. So where are we selling them? We are selling them over here. That points us to this Argon food ration factory. Kind of makes sense, I suppose, that might be where food rations are being sold. Let's start guidance to that object then. And fly to the food ration factory, which is 237 kilometers in that direction. So we will need travel mode, and we'll turn on the autopilot as well. Then while we're travel moding in autopilot, we will feed the cat because it's currently doing an awful lot of standing directly in front of the monitor, which makes playing the game slightly awkward. Back in a moment. Maybe there is a use for CETA. I wonder if CETA would have got me there in less apparent time. I wonder, in fact, whether you can activate and deactivate CETA without deactivating travel mode, because if you could be doing 2,500 meters per second and then increase time by a factor of 600%, that would make a big difference. I don't trust this autopilot. I'm going to turn off travel mode and let the autopilot... No, I don't trust it. The autopilot isn't pointing towards the place I want to go. Why aren't you pointing towards the place where you're going, silly autopilot? Don't crash into it, don't crash into it, don't crash into it, don't crash into it. Nope, we're slowing down fast enough. And we will
Docking granted.
request docking. Which wants us to go. Where do you actually want me to go? Oh, that's a docking module looked at end side on, I think. Oh no, it isn't. It wanted me to go the other side of it, maybe. Yeah, there we go. There's the docking module. I thought that didn't look like the docking module. So, line up all of our little bits. Fly backwards because we've overshot. Surely we've overshot. Yeah, there we go. And down we go.
Successfully done.
Right, so here we want to trade.
Welcome.
We want to buy food rations, which are currently, 5% over the galactic average price. Actually, then, this isn't a good place to buy food rations. But we know we can sell them at 51 in this sector, so still worth buying, just for the sake of making a trade. So, we're buying 6,769 credits worth of food rations. Confirm that. That will hopefully contribute towards our rating, our faction rating with the Argon Federation as well, because we're buying from them, so they like us for trading with them. Then we will undock, and once we're in space, we will look at where we're going to sell them. So, map. We can sell them. Oh no, no, see, no, bought wares. Bought wares, food rations, all the way over there at the medical supply factory. So, start external guidance to the medical supply factory. Close the map. Travel mode, autopilot, off we go to the medical supply factory to sell our food rations. The autopilot always seems to take you by like a kind of a curving banana route to get to anything. It never flies straight towards it.
I'll take a look inside your cargo bay. It is a great pity that it's empty.
I wonder who you were talking to, because my cargo bay is full of food. Right, autopilot has stopped me 39 kilometers from my target, because the autopilot does that. It's very cautious, except when it doesn't work at all and flies you straight into something at 1,000 meters per second. I'm not bitter. Judging when
This will be bad news for
turn
you.
off the travel mode is a bit of a knack.
Bet you've got some nice loot.
Right. Comms range seems to be about 5 clicks, so activating the, requesting docking once I get within 5 clicks of the station. You can buy a docking computer, by the way. I don't have one. Hence I'm manually docking. You can buy a docking computer. You can buy different grades of docking computer.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. You can buy different grades of docking computer. Sorry, couldn't resist that. But docking's pretty easy anyway. Particularly if you can dock in Elite Dangerous, you can certainly dock in this.
Successfully docked.
Right, trade. Food rations are selling at 51, which is 18% above the average price. That's good job because I bought them over the average price, but less than that. So I'm selling them for 7,650, making me 880 credits profit. Huzzah! I've made money by trading! There we go, you see, it can be done. It's possible. And the map makes it actually pretty easy because you can just bring the map up. I'm currently filtering to food rations. I'll just click on food rations again to stop filtering to food rations. Effectively, I didn't actually explain what I was doing when I did that. When you mouse over one of these things, it tells you what the demand is, rather than just 3 pips is good demand. If we mouse over that, it shows us actually the demand is 24,816 they will buy. And if you click on it, it filters to only showing that good, which is really useful when you found something you want to buy and sell. You find something you want to buy, you click on it, and then it'll only show you the places that will buy it off you. Obviously that's down in the soldware. So if I decided I wanted to buy hull parts, you can click on that, and now it's only showing hull parts being bought. I'm buying them there at 516. I can sell them at the equipment dock for 500, so that's not a good deal. I'm obviously not going to do that. Up over on the top right here, we can see where the hull parts filter has clicked in. So you can do that through, not the legend, through the filter settings here, but you can also just do it directly from the map on these pop-ups, which makes it really easy to use, very easy to learn, to find what you're looking for when you're doing your trades. And as you zoom out, now we've got 15 stations factored in. Zoom out for everything that I can see, 17 stations factored in. Best things I can buy and sell seem to be, well, space weed. Space weed is unfortunately illegal in most places, hence the little asterisk warning sign, exclamation mark warning sign next to it. I can buy that in Black Hole Sun. Space fuel, interestingly, has not given me a warning, but that's also illegal in many places. Apparently it's not illegal here. I can buy that in Grand Exchange 3, but if I filter to that, I can buy it for 213, but I can only sell it for 212, also in Grand Exchange. So that's not a good trade. We won't be doing that. I can buy water. Lots and lots of water available for sale at 52 credits. I can sell it also at 52 credits. Guessing that's about the galactic average. Okay, so people want to buy hydrogen. They want to pay 66 credits for 31,000 units of hydrogen. Can I buy it anywhere? Is there anywhere? No, but nowhere here seems to be selling hydrogen according to my current information. So there we go. I need to explore more and get more trade data to be able to do meaningful, valuable trades. But that's the basics of how that works.
Am I supposed to be impressed by that?
I think at that point, I've pretty much covered all of the basics that I wanted to cover in this game. I'm not going to stop playing it. I'm not going to stop streaming it at this point. But this marks, I think, the end of the section that I'm going to highlight off as an introduction and basic getting started in X4 Foundations. It should be about 2.5 hours, which is a good sort of length for a reasonable, unedited getting started. So for those watching on the VOD, thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, I can only assume that you did find it informative, and I'm very glad that you did. If you didn't make it this far and you can't hear me, then I'm sorry I didn't manage to keep your attention. I will probably be highlighting off more how-to stuff regarding this game as I discover it, but I am finding this as I go. So, thank you VOD people, and goodbye.